But here's a comparison photograph. This, I believe, working on Curtis. I believe this is Curtis shot up at Zuni, Pueblo. And I have a slide of my grandfather up on Acoma in 1872 when he was a teacher there. You want to put that one up?
Yes, sir. Hold on, Lee. Go ahead and talk about these three first, and then we'll show your representation.
Yeah, now this is another Curtis portrait. And then I have one that I took of a young lady up at Zuni as sort of a comparison. In my photographic career, the way that I took photographs, if a person asked me or if I decided to want to take the picture, I never asked them to change a thing. I let them dress the way they wanted, or the only time I would change it would be maybe have them sit someplace where the light was better and things of that sort. So all of my photographs, and I think that's what some people say they like about mine, I wasn't trying to show them as anything other than themselves, not as Native Americans, not as anything but themselves. And it was kind of fun. Sometimes people would come up and ask me to take a picture, other times I would ask them. But when I first started, it was sort of the documentary thought in my dad's mind. We were standing around, we had a trading post there at Pueblo, and we were standing around the pot-bellied stove one winter, and here an old fellow rode up horseback, and it was starting to snow, and he'd come in from Hawaii Village, which is 9 miles away, and he was 85 years old, and my dad said, you know, you should start taking pictures of some of these old-timers, because he was when he was a boy, he saved a herd of horses from when the Apaches were raiding, and he put them in a box canyon and saved him, and you should get his picture. Well, that kind of started it, but I never did get his picture. He was a great-looking man, but one weekend I couldn't make it. The next time he couldn't make it, and then early that next spring he passed away. But that's how I got started, and I was aware of some of the photographers. I think I looked at some of Curtis's stuff. Curtis was through our Pueblo at Laguna, and so was Broman and Jackson, and all of the early photographers came through Laguna. And I gradually learned. I had taken no formal training in photography, and so over the years I picked up some of the photography from some of the other photographers. But as a comparison, put the one up with the Zuni girl. No, it's the next one.
We gotta, Lee, that's on the computer, so we have to go through these first, and then we'll show you. With the rug, there we go.
Oh yeah. This is, let me take a quick better look at these. This could very well be, of course, that's probably over in Hopi, but the old buildings that sometimes are interesting take, and I've got one of my slides to show you one of the old buildings up at one of our pueblos. Okay, put up the next one. In comparison to that first slide that we saw that was taken up at Zuni Pueblo, this is a shot of my grandfather up on Pueblo Acoma. And I'll probably be able to find out from someone here who took it. I don't, it was 1872, and the size of the plate looked like it was about a 6.5 by 9. So I don't know. It had a little number on the right-hand side of it, and it was in that reddish-brown color. And this was one of the early photographers, and I'd like to find out which one it was for sure. I was sort of thinking it might have been Roman, but I think that was before his time. So it would be I know the exact date, it would be 1872. That's when my grandfather was teaching on the Pueblo Imagination. And then we want to go to my photograph. We did these comparisons. Put up the next one on the computer there.
The Zuni girl?
Oh, yeah. I took that in the Pueblo Zuni, probably 19. I'm not that old, probably around 1975. And I thought it had a similar feel to it as to the first one we put up there by Curtis. And I also took it in color and black and white. Okay, now to talk about one of my famous photographs and the reaction we get from people. Can you go to that one, Daryl? The white man moccasin one? Yeah, I think this has been, I put out about 20,000 posters over the years. And the reason this has been such a good seller is because it has humor to it. And this wasn't set up at all. I was delivering groceries and crossing the plaza there. And old man Jeff, what I called him then, old man Jeff, was sitting there. He used to sun himself there, and when tourists would come by, he'd tell them some tall tales about a lost gold mine and all kinds of stuff. And some secret route that he chewed to keep the women happy and all of that. So he was a little short fellow, and he was quite entertaining. So I was walking across, I used to take my camera with me in the pickup truck when I delivered groceries. So I detoured over there carrying a box of groceries and said, "Hey Jeff, how about a picture today?" Because I had my camera in the truck. And he said, "No picture today." So I argued with him, talked with him a little bit, and then I went on and delivered the groceries, and I came back and we argued and talked a little bit more. Because I had taken his picture with his daughter a few months before, but it was, he had his dark glasses on, and it wasn't, I didn't think said a heck of a lot. So finally I had a cigar, and I reached in my pocket and gave him the cigar, and then he looked at it and took it, and he said, "Okay, one picture." So I took about 3 or 4. And so I've had a lot of different reactions. Some people don't, for some of the native people don't like it. They think it's making fun of him. But I think it's the opposite. I think it's making fun of the white man because he's got the tennis shoes on instead of the moccasins, so we call it white man's moccasins. And he was an independent guy, and that's just exactly the way he was sitting there as I came by. So I get a lot of different reactions from it, but I also have people it's been seen in Morocco and South Africa and South America, and almost every month or two someone will come by and say, "I was in so-and-so and saw your white man's moccasin." So it's gone all over the world, and as I say, I think it's done well because it's kind of humorous, and most people don't mind putting that up, and I think he resembles a lot of people's grandfather, because some people come up and say, "Well, he looks just like my grandfather." So it's been a very successful print, and it's sort of it's the answer to what my dad was talking to me about. We should take some pictures of the old timers so we can remember them, and that's the way over the years it's happened, because I donated quite a number of prints to the elderly home there in Laguna, and some of the people in the elderly home, they saw their mothers and fathers on the wall, in these photographs, and they cried, and it was quite a nice thing that so many people appreciated the prints that are up in the elderly home. So my photography mostly around Laguna, sort of, you might say, a documentary, just some of the people, some of the scenery, and things of that sort. And I think any photograph that will become historically important, I think is an important photograph. And talk about Curtis, he set some things up, but still I think interspersed with all his photography is some really nice photography, and things that that he depicted were okay to a lot of people. And the early photographers had done such a great problem of transportation and technical problems. I'm amazed that they got what they did. But anyway, this is the opposite of a lot of the photography that people don't like about the native people, but almost everyone seems to like white men's moccasins. So that's my comparison today. Thank you.